Alrighty, I decided, well, that's not true. Wow, good start. Nico had the idea, and I figured it was a good idea too, because it's kind of topical, and also we're talking about a game that I have been a part of the community for since Season 3, which was... Oh dear god, what year was Smite Season 3, dude? Holy shit, that was 2016. Anyway, so Nico had the idea that I could take a Smite game and record it, and then just do some Audacity speaking over about my opinions on Smite 2 and all of that. And sure. Anyway, first things first, Smite 2. It's a thing that is going to be happening in the spring of 2024, at least the alpha is, in the same way that Smite 1 had its alpha. And I assume we're going to get like a launch tournament in the same way that we did with Smite 1, which I'm very much down for. I'm very excited for that. The one negative I am not looking forward to is a year without the Pro League. And I understand the Pro League has not been what it once was in terms of like viewership or profitability, but I still every year caught World Championship, even if I wasn't actively watching the Pro League at the time, or I wasn't actively playing Smite. I still watched the Worlds, and it was honestly kind of emotional listening to Dave talk about the end of the good times, seeing Kelly and F. Dot and all of them on stage, and it was very emotional because there was something ended that was very important to me, and I feel weird about it because I feel like I'm also not that important in the grand scheme of things, like especially in the community. I'm not really active outside of one streamer, and he doesn't even do Smite stuff anymore, but he is a core part of Smite, so I mean, that's... Anyway, I'm going off on a side tangent that I shouldn't. I want to talk specifically about Smite 2. Smite 2 is the sequel to Smite, and it's going from Smite 1 being in Unreal 3, which is, I think, 20 years old at this point. I'll put up on screen how old it actually is, but Smite 1 was built in a 20-year-old engine, give or take. Its UI was built on the basis of fucking Flash, which, holy shit, that's insane. It's a miracle it still works. And sometimes it doesn't. So, even though I think that the big issue that I'm seeing a lot of gamers complain about is actually the reason why they took this long to announce a sequel, is the skin problem, which I'll get into. But Smite 2 is going to be in Unreal 5. And the shit that they've shown so far looks really good. And a lot of people have said things are really cool, and I am willing to believe them even if, they have a vested financial interest in Smite 2's success. I am well aware that there are many people who have an opinion on this that are rather biased, but not to defend the corporation here, but I think that this is one of the best things that Hi-Rez could have done. And I say that as someone who has spent an embarrassing amount of money on Smite 1 cosmetics. So, I guess that was a horrible transition, but we're going to talk about the problem that I keep seeing people not really happy about. How the skins from Smite 1 aren't going to translate over, and the Legacy Gem thing. So, as I understand it, every single gem that your account has spent on anything in Smite 1 has been tracked. Once you make your account in Smite 2, with your accounts linked, you will get Legacy Gems at a 1-to-1 conversion rate for every single gem that you spent in Smite 1, which will then allow you to buy half of a skin or anything in Smite 2 with Legacy Gems, half with normal gems. I explained that poorly. Say an item costs 600 gems in Smite 2. You could spend 300 Legacy Gems and 300 normal gems to get that item in Smite 2. There are also going to be some items in Smite 1 that cross over to Smite 2, like that Bologna skin they showed off, which punched me in the throat. There will be some crossover. Also, all voice packs are going to be unlocked for every single character in Smite 2 by default, which I think is probably the best fucking thing. So, you're still getting something. And to be honest, I think it's a blessing that we're even getting that, because this is a game that is 10 years old, and with the way that the industry is currently trending, or if not trending, is already there, is that you don't own shit. Every game is a live service game with purely digital downloads, and you don't own a damn thing. So the fact that they're willing to give us something for our invested money in the first one is honestly something to be commended. Now, like I said, I don't want to simp for a corporation, but I think this is something that they didn't have to do, and I'm very, very thankful that they are doing. If you think that you deserve some kind of refund, or it's a scam, or anything like that, I think you need to take a couple of deep breaths, because I think you might have forgotten how to, because man, is that the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm very excited to see how the kits change. I'm very excited to see the new characters they bring in. I'm also very excited for the whole, we're gonna have 50 characters at launch, and then we're gonna bring in a character a week or every 2 weeks until we have the entire roster. Now, I am mildly concerned about the fact that they're even going to continue supporting Smite 1 at all. I think that Hi-Rez is not... They're not a indie studio with like 3 people, but they're not a big studio. They're respectably AA, I guess would be the way that I would describe it. So splitting up resources like that seems like it might be a bit of a risk that I don't know if they should take. But with the lack of the pro scene to limit Smite 1's balance, there might be some potential for some actually absurd things, even if Smite 1 is still in UE3. So maybe the game will be more fun this year without the Pro League to stand over it, even though I personally prefer competitive design in games like this, even if it makes me angry and hate anybody that's not my friend that I play with, but oh well. That's the sacrifice that you have to make in order to have a balanced competitive experience, even if I've never actually experienced it firsthand. But I do think this will be a net positive regardless. On the topic of the pro scene, I'm kind of concerned about it vanishing for a year. And if Hi-Rez is going to do any like small production style tournaments with Smite 2, or if they're gonna like throw some casting money and sponsor some homegrown tournament, I do think that it's going to be interesting to watching what happens to the pro scene's audience after this year off. Because if there's an audience that exists, you don't deny them content for a year. At least modern age industry stuff, you don't really do that. And then also expect them to be there waiting for you after that year's up. So either like, but at the same time, Smite is a game that kind of exists because of its pro scene and because of the content creation surrounding it. It's really weird. They did a really great job marketing and getting it out in the first place, and it grew up around that professional scene, that launch tournament, those casters, the personalities, the pro players who all are streamers now. That community, that audience existed. And yeah, sure, there are people who haven't even heard of the pro scene or Barracuda or anybody like that, and they just play Arena and play Baraka? God, fuck that game. They just play Bakasura in Arena, and they throw brains out, and they have a blast doing it, right? They don't think about it, they just play. And there are people like that, for sure, but I think Smite is a weird, unique case where the pro scene and the content creation personalities and the community members are all kind of like integral to the community's existence, to the game's existence. So when you cut off like a limb of that for an entire year, I think it's going to be really difficult, but I think they can do it. It's just going to be really hard to pull off successfully. And I think it's going to be fascinating to watch that scene or like reform again. And I think that there's a risk that Hi-Rez tries to force the issue. If something doesn't form organically, it doesn't feel good. Like the Overwatch fucking professional league, none of that was organic at all, and it did not do very well. Surprise, surprise. So I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating to watch, and I am very excited for the future. I think that this is going to be one of the better things to happen to this MOBA that I so enjoy. And I also really, really, really want to play Smite 2 Amir. Holy shit, I want to rocket jump at the wall. I want to hit the freeze. The game looks so good, and I know it's marketing gimmicks and bullshit, but it also looks like shit in a good way, if that makes sense. Like, if... I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, like, the reason why I preferred Paladins to Overwatch was because of high-res jank and Blizzard polish. And Blizzard polish is something that it gets praised for, but also something that I personally hate, because everybody looks the fucking same. Like, it's all very... Even if they don't look the same, they look the same. And if you understand what I'm saying, you understand what that means, and I don't have to explain it. And if you don't understand it, I'm sorry, I'm not going to explain it, because I'm an asshole. But high-res jank is... Yeah, it's frustrating at times when certain things don't work. Yeah, the Unreal 3 bug where you unplug your headset and then the game yeets itself to the fucking Shadow Realm if you do that because you changed audio devices. Yeah, that shit sucks, but high-res jank, I think, is something that makes the game feel cozy, if that makes sense. Like, Paladins and Smite never felt cold, precise, or surgical, even though there are some, like, really good, like, feeling things in those games. High-res jank is just, even if it's disgusting, or it's dirty, or it looks like shit, it still feels good. It still feels like home. Overwatch is a museum. Everything is really pretty, but it's all very cold, and you can't really do anything weird with it. Paladins is a sandbox. It's dirty, and there's probably some disgusting corners you don't want to look in, but you have a lot of fun with what you have, and there's a lot of potential. Wow, I butchered the shit out of that, but... As a result, I think that even though Smite 2 looks good and looks shitty at the same time, it still looks good while looking shitty. I spent way too long on this fucking analogy, god damn it. Anyway, I hope that this made sense to anybody. That is my take on Smite 2, the future of the SPL, where does high-res do with their thing and their how, and Smite isn't Smite without the community. And once this year of off is up for the pro scene, I'm hoping that we get to see some familiar faces, and they're compensated properly this time. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.